Vi and Powder are sisters who find their parents' dead bodies among the bodies and the rubble of a battle on a bridge. Vander, the leader of the failed rebellion, takes them in as his own children. After some years, Vi and Powder, along with their adopted brothers, Milo and Clagger, rob a Piltover penthouse. Powder steals a set of magical crystals from there, but she accidentally shatters one of them, which causes an explosion that destroys some parts of the building. The four of them return back to the Undercity, but they encounter Deckard and his thugs who want a share of the loot. Vi and the others beat them in a fistfight, but Powder loses the loot while being chased by one of the thugs. Vander, who is now a community leader in Zaun, scolds the children for going to Piltover and stealing from there. He then tries to solve this problem by talking to the sheriff of the enforcers, named Grayson, and her subordinate Marcus. Vi scolds Milo for calling Powder a Jinx and tells Powder that everything will get better. Meanwhile, in the lowest parts of the Undercity, Deckard tells the crime lord Silco everything that Vi and the others did earlier. Silco then tests a new mutagen known as Shimmer on a rat together with a Zaunite scientist named Singed. The crystals that Powder stole were the belongings of Jace Tallis, a student at Piltover's academy. Jace has been using illegal equipment in unsanctioned experiments, and the Piltover's ruling council has him testify about this. When he was a child, Jace was saved by arcane magic, and he believes that it can be a new resource for Piltover's evolution. He is expelled from the academy when he admits the magical nature of the experiments, and his research is ordered to be destroyed. He tries to commit suicide because of this, but Victor, the disabled assistant of the Academy's Professor Heimerdinger, offers to help him in his experiment, which renews his beliefs. In Zaun, Marcus pressures Vander to hand over the true culprits of the robbery, while the Zaunites pressure him to fight back against the Enforcer's interference. Vander chooses to remain neutral for keeping his family safe, which makes some Zaunites doubt his leadership. Vi decides to turn herself in. Meanwhile, Silco makes Deckard swallow a vial of Shimmer by manipulating him. Vander stops Vi from turning herself in and offers himself to Grayson instead. But Silco reaches there and captures Vander after Deckard, who has been heavily mutated, kills Grayson and her men, sparing only Marcus. Vi, Milo, and Clagger go to rescue Vander, leaving Powder alone at home. In Piltover, Jace and Victor secretly do an experiment with the crystal under the discretion of Counselor Mel Medarda and invent Hextech, a new arcane technology. In the past, Vander betrayed Silco and tried to drown him. Vi, Milo, and Clagger reach the Undercity and try to rescue Vander, but Silco tries to stop them from this. Vi fights off Silco's thugs, but is badly beaten by the mutated Deckard. Meanwhile, Powder reaches there and tries to save Vi by causing an explosion with the stolen crystals, which kills Clagger and Milo. The injured Vander takes Shimmer, kills Deckard, and saves Vi before dying. This makes Vi angry, and she hits Powder and calls her a Jinx. She then walks away. Vi then sees Silco approaching Powder and tries to return to her, but Marcus captures her. Powder, who believes Vi abandoned her, breaks down in Silco's arms. Silco hugs Powder and tells her that they'll show them all. Several years later, Piltover is developing at a high pace because of Jace's Hextech technology. Now Piltover is celebrating its 200th anniversary on a holiday called Progress Day, and Jace hopes to reveal his and Victor's latest gemstone device at the ceremony, but he decides not to do it because Heimerdinger warned him about the dangers it could cause. Meanwhile, Powder is now a teenager going by the name of Jinx, and she works for Silco, who she views as a father. She helps him smuggle materials, including Shimmer, into Piltover. A job gets interrupted when the Firelights, an Undercity gang, interfere. While fighting them, Jinx mistakes a Firelight for Vi for a short time and has a breakdown. Jace's childhood friend Caitlin, who is now an enforcer, investigates what happened. Trying to fix her damaged reputation with Silco, Jinx steals Jace's gemstone and creates an explosion that kills 6 enforcers. Jace is given a Piltover council seat to protect the people of Piltover from the stolen gemstone. As part of her investigation, Caitlin travels to Stillwater Prison and encounters an adult Vi, who is imprisoned there by Marcus. Caitlin releases Vi from prison to help her track down Silco. Meanwhile, Marcus is secretly working with Silco to help him smuggle Shimmer, and he also frames the Firelights for the Progress Day bombing. Jinx refuses to work on the gemstone because she is still traumatized by her family's deaths. Silco tries to solve this problem by taking her to the river where Vander once tried to drown him and performs a symbolic baptism to convince her that she is now completely transformed into Jinx. In Piltover, Mel and Jace begin a romantic relationship, and Mel helps Jace navigate the political landscape he now finds himself in as a counselor. Victor is trying hard to make a hextech device that could cure his worsening illness. Meanwhile, Vi tracks down Sevica, who is now Silco's second-in-command, and Sevica tells Vi about Jinx. Vi is stabbed by Sevica when she is distracted, but Caitlyn saves her, and they escape. Jinx becomes successful in refining the gemstone and constructing a device that could harness its power. Sevica reports Vi's return to Silco. After Victor collapses in the lab, he and Jace begin to study the hextech device named Hexcore. This device can interact with organic matter and potentially cure diseases. But Heimerdinger thinks that it is too dangerous and orders to destroy it. This leads Jace to orchestrate Heimerdinger's removal from the council. Meanwhile, Victor seeks out his former mentor for help in perfecting the Hexcore. Silco orders Marcus to kill Vi and Caitlyn before they reach back to Piltover. Jace orders a bridge blockade for protecting Piltover. Jinx interrogates Sevica and finds out about Vi's return. Vi and Caitlyn take refuge in a safe house for Vi's recovery from her fight with Sevica, but the local addicts reveal her location to Silco for Shimmer, and Silco reaches there. After escaping, Vi and Caitlyn spot a blue flare, the same one Vi gave to Jinx before leaving to rescue Vander. Vi and Caitlyn go towards it and Vi and Jinx reunite, but seeing Caitlyn triggers Jinx's mistrust. The Firelights suddenly appear, steal the gemstone, and kidnap Caitlyn and Vi. This makes Jinx really angry. The Firelights' leader is revealed to be Vi and Powder's childhood friend Echo. After Vander's death, Silco took the control of Zaun and made the people of Zaun Shimmer addicts. The Firelights have been working to stop him and rehabilitate the addicts. Echo warns Vi that her sister Powder is no more and only Jinx exists, but Vi refuses to believe him. Victor's former mentor Singed gives him a variant of Shimmer to enable the Hexcore to modify his deteriorating body. Victor hides this from Jace because Jace unintentionally insulted Victor's Zaun origins. Jace's blockades increase tensions between the two cities. Caitlyn convinces Echo to give back the gemstone to Piltover while Vi leaves to find Jinx. At the blockade, Marcus stops Echo and Caitlyn and shoots Echo. He then tries to kill Caitlyn. Vi sees this and runs back to help. But Jinx, who becomes jealous of Caitlyn, unleashes explosives which kills Marcus and his enforcers. Then Echo and Jinx fight each other while Vi and an injured Caitlyn flee to Piltover. Echo almost defeats Jinx but hesitates to deliver the final blow, which allows Jinx to detonate an explosive near them. Silco finds Jinx, who is heavily injured, and realizes that she has recovered the gemstone. He takes her to Singed for treatment, during which she hallucinates that Vi and Caitlyn are the ones doing the painful procedure. Singed injects Jinx with Shimmer, which makes her eyes glow in purple color. Mel's mother Ambessa, who is a Noxian warlord, arrives in Piltover after the assassination of Mel's brother to prepare her for the approaching war against Zaun. The exiled Heimerdinger meets an injured Echo. Victor becomes successful in healing his body through the Hexcore, and he is now able to run for the first time. But doing more experiments creates an accident that kills his assistant and childhood friend, Sky. Vi gets frustrated after hearing the council's decision to not take immediate action against Silco, and she leaves Caitlyn and partners with Jace to shut down Silco's Shimmer factories. They defeat Shimmer-enhanced soldiers using hextech weapons, but Jace accidentally kills a child worker during the fight. Meanwhile, Jinx kidnaps Caitlyn. The death of the child, who is the son of Cambarinus Rennie, makes Jace realize the potential cost of a war between Piltover and Zaun. This leads him to a meeting with Silco, where he offers Zaun's independence in exchange for Jinx. Meanwhile, Echo shows Heimerdinger the Firelight's hideout. Filled with guilt over Sky's death, Victor makes Jace promise to destroy the Hexcore. Silco speaks to himself about choosing between Zaun's freedom and Jinx overhears him. Vi beats Sevica in a fight, but Jinx kidnaps her, and when she wakes up she realizes that she is tied up alongside Caitlyn and Silco in the warehouse where Vander died. Jinx hands Vi a pistol and tells her to choose between Caitlyn and herself. Vi refuses to do this and tries to calm her down by talking about their childhood, but this causes Jinx to suffer a traumatic breakdown. Silco breaks free and tries to shoot Vi, but he misses. Jinx unintentionally shoots him, and while dying, Silco expresses his fatherly love for her. Jinx, who is devastated, finally embraces her new identity. She attaches the gemstone into a rocket launcher and fires at the Piltover Council, just as they approve Zaun's independence. Jace and Mel, alongside the counselors Shola and Salo, survive Jinx's rocket attack. But Salo is now crippled and the other counselors, including Caitlyn's mother, are killed. Victor is also heavily injured, forcing Jace to break his promise to destroy the Hex core and instead fuse it with Victor to save his life. Ambessa encourages the council to start a war against Zaun, but Mel opposes the idea to use Hextech weapons. Even though Vi turns down Caitlyn's offer to join the Enforcers, she attends a memorial for the fallen counselors. But Rennie's men attack the event as revenge for Jace killing his son, and the Enforcers are not prepared to hold them back. In the end, Ambessa and the Noxians reach there and kill Rennie and his men. After this, Salo tells the other counselors that they should start the war against Zaun as quickly as possible, but Caitlyn offers an alternative. She is going to lead a task force armed with new Hextech weapons developed by Jace and composed of herself, Vi, and Enforcers Maddie, Loris, and Steban is on to capture Jinx, neutralize the remaining Kimbarans, and stop the production of Shimmer. Silco and Rennie's deaths lead to a fight between the remaining Kimbarans for control of Zaun, despite Sevica's request for unity. One of the Kimbarans, named Smeech, tells the others to surrender Jinx to Piltover to solve the current problem with them, but Sevica refuses. Meanwhile, Caitlyn's team raids Jinx's hideout, forcing Jinx to flee. Jinx then meets a young orphan named Isha, who she saves from attackers. Jinx is eventually ambushed by Smeech and his men, but Sevica saves her. After killing him, Jinx tells Sevica that she wants to finish off what's left of her family. In Piltover, Victor wakes up from his coma and leaves after realizing that Jace broke his promise. When he returns to Zaun, he realizes that the Hex core has given him magical powers, and he heals a Shimmer addict, thus creating a cult-like following around himself. Meanwhile, the tree in the Firelight's hideout shows some signs of magical corruption. This leads Echo and Heimerdinger to sneak into the academy and discuss this with Jace. Jinx plans to return the collected smog from Piltover through the ventilation system. Caitlyn's increased aggression after her mother's death worries Vi, and she begs her not to change. Caitlyn promises that she will not change, and the two of them kiss. The Black Rose, a Noxian cabal, fails at an attempt to kill Ambessa, but they kidnap Mel. Jace tells Echo and Heimerdinger about Victor's theory of wild runes, which are arcane anomalies caused by exploited Hextech, and they discover one of them in the Hex Vault in the form of a large mutating orb that's contaminating Zaun. Vi and Caitlyn go to the deepest part of Zaun, and they confront Jinx, but they are ambushed by Sevica. Caitlyn fights Sevica off, and Vi fights and captures Jinx. Jinx accepts her death at Vi's hands, but Isha interferes and shields Jinx. Vi stops Caitlyn from shooting because of the possibility of it hitting Isha. By using this opportunity, Sevica detonates Jinx's paint bombs and opens an air duct, spreading the smog across Piltover, and then she escapes with Jinx and Isha. Caitlyn gets angry because Vi's actions have resulted in Jinx getting away again, and she hits Vi and leaves her behind. Ambessa, who was actually the one who orchestrated the memorial attack, convinces the others to implement martial law and appoints Caitlyn as commander-in-chief, and Caitlyn accepts this. Meanwhile, in Zaun, Singed injects his blood into his newly created human-wolf hybrid. A few months after the declaration of martial law, Zaun has been occupied by a joint Piltover-Noxian force. Jinx has gone into hiding with Isha, Caitlyn and Maddie are now in a relationship, and Jace, Echo, and Heimerdinger have been missing since the Wild Rune incident. Caitlin grows suspicious of Ambessa, who is conducting her own Hextech research which has been unsuccessful. The Zaunites now consider Jinx as a hero, and Sevica tries to convince her to lead a revolt. But Jinx refuses. Meanwhile, Isha gets captured at a rally by enforcers, forcing Jinx and Sevica to break into Stillwater Prison to rescue her. Singed is also captured, but he leaves a blood trail for his human-wolf hybrid to follow. It follows the trail and attacks the prison. It kills everyone including the guards and inmates at sight. Then it runs into Jinx and Sevica during their rescue mission. Jinx fights the creature, while Sevica escapes with Isha, but the creature overpowers Jinx. Just as it prepares to kill her, somehow it suddenly recognizes her as Powder. Jinx also recognizes the beast as Vander, and she seeks out Vi, who is now a pit fighter. Even though she doesn't believe Jinx, Vi follows her to an abandoned mine where Vander tracks them down and initially attacks them. But eventually he recognizes Vi and hugs her along with Jinx and Isha. Meanwhile, Ambessa makes a deal with Singed to track Vander, and Caitlin discovers Singed's true identity. He is the expelled Piltovan academic Corin Revek, and all of his experiments are attempts to cure his comatose and terminally ill daughter Oriana. Meanwhile, Mel wakes up in a Black Rose prison where she meets her supposedly deceased brother Kino, and he tells her that Ambessa had an illegitimate child who is the true target of their captors. She then realizes that this Kino is actually an illusion, which leads her to getting chained, and it causes her hidden magical power to be unleashed. At the Hex Vault, Jace is released from the Wild Rune, and he sees Salo trying to retrieve a Hexgate core. Salo was healed by Victor. Jace, who is scared by the experience of the Wild Rune, vows to destroy Hextech, and he kills Salo. Victor, along with the spiritual essence of Sky, investigate the Wild Rune phenomenon after seeing Salo getting killed. Jinx, Vi, and Isha take Vander to Victor's sanctuary, hoping Victor can heal Vander. By continuously trying for several days, Victor begins to draw out Vander's humanity. Meanwhile, Ambessa and Caitlin track Vander to the sanctuary with the help of Singed. Singed then tries to convince Victor to give Vander up, but Victor refuses after realizing that Singed only wishes to save Oriana. While following Singed as he returns to the Noxian camp, Vi is captured by Caitlin. Ambessa orders Caitlin and Singed to capture Vander after Singed tells her about what Victor said. But Vi and Caitlin are actually working together, and they neutralize both Ambessa and Singed. Meanwhile, Jason infiltrates the sanctuary and kills Victor, thus creating physical problems for the people Victor healed, including Vander, who becomes uncontrollably savage and kills Ambessa's right-hand man Rictus. Ambessa recovers and attacks the sanctuary with her soldiers. To stop Vander and the Noxian soldiers, Isha sacrifices herself by overloading Jinx's pistol with Hextech gems and destroys them along with her. Seeing this makes Jinx really sad. The encounter with the Wild Rune takes Echo and Heimerdinger to a parallel universe where Hextech was never invented. Milo, Clagger, and Benzo didn't die, and Vander and Silco are still friends. But Vi died during Jace's apartment robbery. To return back to their universe, Echo and Heimerdinger work with this universe's Powder, who didn't become Jinx, to recreate the Wild Rune and channel it into a time reversal device. Despite growing close to Powder as time passes, Echo still decides to return to his own universe. Even though the device was unstable, Heimerdinger successfully returns Echo at the cost of him being vanished. Meanwhile, Jace is transported to a post-apocalyptic future where Hextech has destroyed Piltover, and he meets the person who gave him the Rune Stone as a child. After realizing that this future is a result of Victor's actions, Jace promises that person that he will stop Victor, and he is sent back by that person, leading to the events at the sanctuary. After the attack, Singed uses Vander's remains to save Victor. Jinx gets arrested, and Vi confronts Caitlin about this. Caitlin visits Jinx and tells her that she doesn't hate her anymore. Jinx replies she didn't know Caitlin's mother was present at the rocket attack. Mel has now learned to use her magical powers, and she returns back to Piltover where she encounters Jace and tells him that it was her who shielded him during the rocket attack. They are interrupted by a representative of Victor, and through him Victor requests Jace for the access to the Hexgate anomaly, using which he can complete his glorious evolution. But Jace denies this, so Victor allies with Ambessa to attack Piltover. Singe destroys Vander to regenerate Victor, and Victor says goodbye to Sky. Meanwhile, Vi releases Jinx, but Jinx immediately imprisons Vi and tells her, "You deserve to be happy," before leaving to break the cycle of violence. Caitlyn later finds the imprisoned Vi, and both of them reconcile. Jace gathers as many people as he can from both Piltover and Zaun to prepare Piltover's defense against Ambessa. Mel tries to negotiate with Ambessa, but it becomes unsuccessful as Ambessa reveals Victor's forces. Later, the Noxians attacks Piltover, and the Piltovans defend it, giving Jace time to dismantle the Hex Vault, but they are pushed to the edge of defeat as Maddie, who is a double agent, betrays them until the Zaunites and Jinx, who was talked out from suicide by Echo, come to their aid. But the attack was actually a distraction for Victor to infiltrate the vault, and the Piltovan Zaunite force is neutralized by Victor's servants, including Vander, who attacks Vi and Jinx. Meanwhile, Mel kills Maddie, and Caitlyn snatches the runes Ambessa used as protection against the Black Rose from her, allowing the Black Rose and Mel to fatally injure her, after which she dies in Mel's arms. Victor then takes control of the Wild Rune and controls everyone except Echo, who escapes the brainwashing using his time reversal device. Jace then convinces Victor that what he's doing is wrong by telling him about the person who gave him the runestone, who was actually Victor's future self. Then they work together and destroy the Wild Rune and also disappear in the process. But Vander, who is still aggressive, forces Jinx to protect Vi by blowing him up along with herself. After a few days, Sevica becomes Zaun's representative on the council. Mel is leaving for Noxus. Singe becomes successful in curing his daughter, and Vi and Caitlyn are now together.